let's begin. So here I have this very basic kind of website. And today we're just going to be going over a few really fun ways that we can make this look nice. A couple of weeks ago, or three weeks ago now, I think, we went over basic CSS, kind of just an introduction. And I'm hoping that now maybe you kind of have a better understanding of CSS because you've played around with it. Even if you haven't played around with it, hopefully you'll still be able to pick up a few things of just what CSS is capable of. So step one, let's go and change the font of this. And so there are a few built-in fonts that that Chrome supports, and there's a few built-in fonts that maybe like Firefox supports, but it would be really nice if instead of using some built-in font, instead we could just have our own custom font. And we can absolutely do that, and it's very simple. And step one, we have to like find the font, so we can Google like custom fonts, and Google Fonts is good, but I don't know, we'll click here and see what happens. Yeah, I don't know, let's pick something good. Modern, heck yeah, all these look good. Let's pick, sure, let's pick this so that we can download this. And hash browns, nice. And then you have this TTF file, and this TTF file is what your font is going to be stored on. So I'm going to add this file, and I'm going to make a fonts folder. And now I have to go and add something to this fonts folder. I'm going to take this guy that I just downloaded, move it into fonts, and now we have this. I'm going to rename it. Excellent. So I'm going to go back here, and there we go. So now we have hashed browns in our fonts folder. And the way that we can now include it so that it's used by our document is we have to declare a new font. Because it's like, you can't just include this file and expect it to work. You have to make it referenceable. So I'm going to declare a new font face, and I'm going to make it be called, let's say, hashed browns. But you can name this whatever you want, but I'm going to call it hash browns. And then here we say the source. It has the URL of just fonts hashed browns.ttf. So what we're doing here is we are declaring a new font, and we're giving it a font name, the name that we're referring it to, of hash browns. And then the source is where the actual file exists in our website. And the file exists in _fonts and hash browns. So now we can apply this somewhere. So let's apply it to our body. And now we can say, oh yeah, so instead of it being font family cursive, now we can say it's font family of hash browns. So now I've saved this. So now when I hit refresh, wait, what am I doing wrong? Oh no. Yeah, okay. So wait, I lied a little bit. So so when I declared this new font, so this file that we're in right now, this site.css, this file exists in a folder. And in this folder, in order to access the fonts folder, first we need to leave the folder. Does that make sense? Like we're currently in this site.css folder, but we need to go and leave this and then open up the new folder and then access this file. And in order to leave this folder, we need to go and put this ... And when we put this ... then we leave the folder, and then we open up fonts, and then we open up this file. So now it works, and we can add as many fonts as we want. We can add a new font face. We can just keep going. Okay, now we have custom font, if you all like it. It's kind of hard to read, but that's okay. Next thing I want to do, this paragraph, I don't like how it goes all the way to the edge of the screen. This looks very bad. I would like it if it kind of shrunk and maybe it was only about this wide. And one of the best ways to do that when we scroll down to this main section, and I'll call it with main paragraph. And I'm calling it with main because this is what this section is. I declare it right here. It has an ID of main. So I'm calling it main, and I'm saying every single paragraph that is inside main. So this paragraph, this paragraph, this paragraph, I'm going to give each of them a max width of, let's say, like, I don't know, 20 pixels. So now when I hit refresh, now these paragraphs, they have a maximum width of 20 pixels. But another way we could do it is instead of saying pixels, we can say characters. So now this paragraph has a max width of 20 characters. So that's about 20 characters. Or we could have it be, I think maybe like 70 characters. That could be good. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And next, let's center it. And the way we center it is with margin auto. And there we go. So now it's centered. And one more thing, let's actually give an indent. So text indent, let's give it an indent of just 4 characters. So now every single paragraph is indented. It's a little bit weird because like in Microsoft Word, like Word will automatically indent all your paragraphs, but in HTML, you have to actually say like, oh, paragraph, I want you to be indented, and it will indent just the first line of the paragraph. So yeah, just a little bit more of like how you can style your paragraphs. Oh, can you do justify and stuff?
You know, in scientific papers where it's like square edges.
Oh, CSS text line. Let's see what text align lets you do. Oh, justify. Wait, yeah, look at that. Let's try it.
Nice.
I didn't even know you could do that. Justify. So now, yeah, there we go. So now it extends all the way to the edge. Yeah. What should we do next? Let's make it so that this navigation bar, I don't really like how this navigation bar is right now. It would be way better if when I scroll down, it stays there. Like it would be really nice if I scroll down and I'm like, oh, like actually I want to go and access something in the navigation bar. I don't need to scroll all the way back up. I can just, it'll just be there. And it just takes one line of code. It's really simple. You go into navigation, which is, yeah, I declared this navigation bar with a bunch of links in it. And in navigation, we're going to give it a position of fixed. So now when we hit refresh, now when we scroll down, it is stuck on the page. And one problem though is that now it's like too small. So let's just make it bigger. Let's give it a width of 100% of the view width. So when we say give it a width of 100% of the view width, we're saying like this is the whole view width is just the width of the page. So we're just saying like fill up the whole page. So when I hit refresh, now it'll fill up the entire page. But let's make it so that this like is kind of spaced out. I don't like how they're all bunched on one side. So let's give it a display of flex and also justify content space around, I think. Yeah, good. This looks way better. Then we scroll up and down. Yeah, it looks good. But one last thing that could be kind of cool is maybe if we made this this navigation bar like a little bit like see-through, because it doesn't really feel, it feels like kind of bland. So if we make it see-through, that means like when we scroll up and down, it'll kind of change colors and it'll adapt to whatever the background color is. And that is super easy. All we have to do is just add an opacity of, I don't know, 90%, 0.9. And it's kind of hard to tell. Let's, I don't know, 0.7. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. And it works still. You can click on any of these and it'll take you to the websites. But I don't know, maybe 0.8. Yeah, that looks way better. Yeah, 0.8. That's perfect. Next thing, let's make it so that this blue, I really like how my website has this big old pink like title screen thing. And when you scroll down, that's when the website is revealed. And like there's a lot of other websites that do that. Like, yeah, this is the IEEE Hackathon website. And yeah, it looks very similar. Like you have this title screen, and then you scroll down, and then that's where you access like the website. So the way you do that, so let's go to header, yeah, and give it maybe like a minimum height. Wait, okay, what do you think we should put as the minimum height? Wait, okay, does anyone remember what we put as the width of the navigation bar? How did we make it so that it filled up the entire screen? It was view width, yeah, VW, and we want 100% of the view width. So if we used 100%, yeah, so if we used 100% of the view width for the navigation bar, what do you think we should add for the header? If it's not 100% of the view width, what should we change it to? Yeah, view height. Does that make sense? Like we want to make this take up the entire height of the screen. So we set it to a height of 100 view height. So let's do that. Min height 100 view height. Oops, view height. And hit refresh, and now it does. Yay! And yeah, it's fantastic title screen. Here's the navigation bar, and it, yeah, it's starting to look pretty good. One problem is this is not at all centered. So let's center it. And the best way to do that is just with Flexbox, similar to what we did with the navigation bar. So let's give it a display of flex and justify content, say center. And also, so now if we hit refresh, it looks, that's weird. Okay, so fantastic way to check what the heck is wrong with your website. Just open up inspect and click on this little thing. And then now you can see like what's happening. Okay. Yeah, okay, so so if you see like this welcome text, the height of it for some reason is taking up the entire height of the screen. Whereas, and the snowman is taking up the entire height of the screen. And so I bet one way to fix that is to just, instead of them displaying like next to each other, like in a row, like having like welcome and then snowman, we can have it be that welcome is just like on top of snowman. And so instead of having it be instead of having this flexbox display in a row, we should have it display in a column. So let's do a line, or wait, no, direction, flex direction of column. Now you can see that the snowman is no longer super tall, and the text is no longer super tall. They're just kind of wide. So, and now let's just go and center them. So we can do align items, center, and hit refresh. And there you go. Fantastic. Yeah, so yeah, this is going to be your holy grail of centering things generally, is display flex and then justify content center and then align item center. And when you do that, just anything that is inside this div, like for example, like anything that is inside header is just going to be centered. So yeah, make a note of that. This is going to be your best friend. It would be super cool if this snowman could dance a little bit. So let's do that. And you may think like, how can we make this snowman move around without using any JavaScript? But CSS is really powerful and has built-in animations that are super easy to access. And I won't walk you through them entirely because they can get very complicated. So I'm just going to show a super quick overview. And in case you want to actually include some animation in your website, we can absolutely hang out and come up with something together. But I just want to show you at least like what CSS is capable of. So let's go to header, and yeah, in snowman. So let's make a new animation, and The way that we define an animation is with keyframes. Here, we want to have this snowman and we want it to maybe like start out like 20 degrees rotated this way. And then after a little bit of time, it'll like rotate back this way. And then it'll rotate back this way. Like at 0% completion, maybe form and then rotate. Oops. Am I doing something wrong? What's going on? Oh, let's call this wiggle. Okay, transform, rotate, and let's rotate it 20 degrees. And then at 50%, let's rotate it negative 20 degrees. And at 100% completion, when it's completely done, it'll be back to 20%. All right, and next, so let's give the snowman this animation where we're like rotating it back and forth, basically. Let's say so snowman and animation name of wiggle that we have just defined. So let's save this and hit refresh. Yay, so now we have the snowman that wiggles back and forth a little bit. But yeah, but then it stops. So let's look at what's happening. So I'm saying this whole animation, this whole wiggle animation will take 5 seconds to complete. So at second 0, it'll start at 20 degrees. So it'll start at 20 degrees. And then at 2.5 seconds, it will be completely to the other side. And then at 5 seconds, it'll be back to 20 degrees. But then once it finishes its little like rotation, then the animation is done, then it'll just like stops moving and it's back here. So let's look at it again. So let me hit refresh. So yeah, it moves over. Now it's been 2.5 seconds and then it moves over and then now it's back to center. But it would be way better if we could make this so that it like keeps repeating. So let's do animation iteration count. And so if we set this to 2, then it would go twice. So it moves over and then restarts and moves over. And then now it's done. Yeah, but let's set this not to 2, but just infinite. So now it'll just keep wiggling back and forth forever and ever and ever. And animations are just so powerful. They're not necessarily the best thing you want to do because it does like actually slow down your computer a little bit. So you don't want to have your entire website just be filled with animations. But in some instances, they can be really, really cool, especially if you have it so like, oh, like when you click this button, maybe like this thing will just slide across the page. That's really cool looking. And this won't necessarily work on all browsers, especially like mobile browsers usually don't like this, but they're at least really cool. And the people that do get to experience this dancing snowman are probably having a very good day because of you.
Can you make it like, could you make the snowman move around the page?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm just scratching the surface, but like instead of it being like rotate 20 degrees, we can have it be like translate, let's say 100 pixels and then like 0, and then translate, do negative 100 pixels and maybe like 30 pixels. Let's see what this looks like. Yeah, look at that. Very nice. Wait, this is so much better. Yeah, and so transform is a really cool way to move things around. You can you don't actually have to use transform. If you want, you can do like color. You can have like something be like an animation of color, or you can have an animation of like expanding sizes. You could have like width go from 1 to like 500. You can put absolutely anything you want in here. But I just felt like just having transform. Wait, this looks really good, but it's kind of distracting, so I'm actually gonna disable it. Okay, one more thing that I want to show you is, so this navigation bar, it's cool, but it's not that cool. What would be way better is if when you like hover over something, it like lights up or it like grows or something, because when you hover over it, like nothing's really inciting me to go and click on that. Like I don't think, oh yes, like I want to go and visit IEEE, or like the online encyclopedia of integer sequences. Like I don't really want to click on any of these. So one way that we can make them just feel a little bit more tangible and like clickable is say like whenever you hover over them, maybe they grow or maybe they change color. So let's do that. And it's once again, extremely easy. You just say, so each one of these guys are called nav links, which I have right here. So you can see like, yeah, nav links. So I'm going to say each of these on hover. Let's just do like background color red. So now when I hit refresh and when I hover over these, now they turn red whenever you hover over them. And that's already way better. But instead of background color of red, let's just make them bigger. And let's once again use transform, and let's use now scale and give it a scale of like 2. And now when you hover over them, now they get twice as big. And that doesn't look too good, but let's also give this a margin 1em. Yeah, better, I guess. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you, so okay, we've gone over animations. We had the dancing snowman, but now I'm going to teach you like a new different type of animation called a transition. Because this is really jarring. When you just like hover over this, it's not, it's like bam, in your face. Like it would be really nice if it would like grow to kind of slowly. Like you can see this, yeah, you can see it here. Like when you hover over this, it like grows a little bit. Or yeah, what's a good example? Yeah, like when you hover over this, it grows. It's not just like immediate boom, like big. It grows into it. And the way that you do that is in your nav links, you just put a transition of transform of, I don't know, 0.3 seconds. So now when you hover over them, the transform that we are applying when we hover over it, this transform is going to take 0.3 seconds. Yeah. And it also takes 0.3 seconds to go back to normal. But yeah, hover is going to be your best friend, and also like transition is going to be your best friend. Yeah, like you can also do like on whenever you click a button. Yeah, let's see that. Let's see. Here I'm saying so whenever the nav links is active, meaning like when we're clicking on it, it also has a scale of 2. So now when we click on it, nothing happens because it's still scale of 2. But if we change this from scale of 2 to like 1.5, then now when we hover over it and click on it, now it like goes in a little bit. And that feels really nice to click on. So like anytime you have some sort of like button, you like always want to have some like hover property and some active property that you are providing properties to. All right, the website is looking pretty darn good. Let's bring the wiggle back. Yeah, also this was kind of just like a super fast overview, just showing you a little bit more of what CSS is capable of. Sorry if you didn't get any of that. Main thing is just like, hopefully now you just will have a better idea of what to Google when you have questions, or like what questions to ask me, because there's like so much to CSS, like it can be hard to start. So I'm giving you a bunch of playing cards to look at.